7th, 2026. Kent Hovind here at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. Come on up and see us. We're on a bunch of different channels on Facebook and Rumble and X and our own app, Kent Hovind TV, Instagram, TikTok. You know, atheists, you worked so hard to get my YouTube channel shut down 5 times. Thank you. It made us spread out much more. Doing much better now. Yeah, praise God. Okay, let's see. Prehistoric World. They did an article, May 24th. What's that, a couple days ago? Yeah, okay. Here's what this guy said in prehistoric. There's no such thing as prehistoric. No such thing. Prehistoric, before history. We've got history from day one. In the beginning. How are you going to go before that? There's no such thing as prehistoric. Anyway, this guy said 50 million years ago, a small wolf-like creature roamed the earth, completely unaware that its descendants would one day become the largest animals to ever live. This creature, called Pakicetus, is one of the earliest known ancestors of modern whales. Let me see. It changed from a dog to a whale. That takes a lot of faith. Why wasn't it happy as a wolf-like creature? I mean, there's a lot of wolf-like creatures today, dogs, wolves, coyotes. They seem happy like they are. They didn't, only one of them changed. Marking the beginning of a breathtaking evolutionary journey from land to sea, land to ocean. Over millions of years, that's always the key right there. This is the, where'd it go? Right here. This is the pacifier that keeps evolutionists happy. Time. If that doesn't work, guess what they use? More time. That'll do anything. Yeah, time can do anything. Actually, it's the opposite of what you need. You better study some physics. The second law of thermodynamics, things get worse with time, not better. Anyway, by around 40 to 33 million years ago, species like Durodon had transformed into fully aquatic animals. Where is the evidence for that? No fossil is going to count for that, because all you know from a fossil is it died. Has anybody ever seen a dog produce anything other than a baby dog? Come on now, guys. Where's the evidence? Okay. They developed streamlined bodies and powerful tails that allowed them to glide through the ocean with ease. Yet they still carry tiny vestigial hind limbs. I had it up here on the, this took it back to the Science Center. The whalebone, okay? Small, non-functional leg bones that serve as a remarkable reminder of their terrestrial past. This transformation showcases nature's incredible power to adapt. From running on 4 legs to swimming gracefully through the ocean. Early whales navigated dramatic changes in habitat and lifestyle. Their evolution demonstrates how species can thrive in entirely new environments when challenged by changing conditions. Predation, being eaten, and opportunities for survival. Fast forward to today, the modern whales and the massive blue whale to the agile orca carry the legacy of these ancient ancestors. This is such a propaganda statement. There's no science behind this at all, okay? Let's see. Here we go. Evolution of whales. A dog-like creature, a wolf-like creature, 50 million years ago, slowly turned to a whale. And the evidence they're using is the hind limb. That's it. Here's some of the comments. There was a great PBS, I almost said what BS stands for. There was a great PBS documentary shown just last week about how whales once walked on land. Highly recommended. Okay. SJ Lag. Let's see. On rare occasions, whales are born with tiny vestigial hind limbs. Mandy, you are mistaken. Okay, you need to study your whale anatomy. They have little bones in there, what we would consider the hip area. Those are used for reproduction. Whales can't make babies without those little bones. Did all organisms magically lost the ability to speciate at the same time? Bobby, you're on something there. Hilariously, despite the overwhelming evidence of this being true, people deny it, like me. But those people truly believe a donkey talked, yep, and the earth is 6,000 years old, yep, absolutely. Tell you what, Steve, call for a debate. Prove me wrong. Show the world how dumb I am. Please do. 855 Big Dino, extension 4. Joseph Bookham. Okay? Genesis, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the open firmament above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales. Here, God is claiming that he did it. He made the whales before he made the land animals. You guys are claiming a land animal turned into a whale. Somebody's wrong. Somebody's definitely wrong. The waters brought forth abundantly, and they bring forth after their kind. You know, whales always have baby whales. No exceptions. Every winged fowl after his kind, God saw that it was good. This was on the 5th day. So God, the universe, created whales and birds on the 5th day and told us clearly, the world, that he did it in the perfect book, that he inspired 40 different men on 3 different continents to write over 1,500 years. Amazing how that book was written by 40 different men and all blends together perfectly. Real cool. I've read it a bunch of times. Okay. The God and the mighty host of angels were the eyewitnesses to this act of amazing creation. He said they would bring forth after their kind, as that's all anyone has ever seen. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog, let alone produce a whale over billions of generations. Science would be what we can observe. We observe dogs produce dogs. Looks like they've always done it. His testimony, God's testimony, has never been refuted. He said they'd bring forth after their kind, after his kind, after his kind, after his kind, of every sort, 2 of every sort, of every kind, 20 times in the first 7 chapters. So science is what we can study and observe and test and demonstrate. We can see, we can watch, whales make baby whales. No exceptions. Science, what we can observe, study, test, and scientists have observed whales producing baby whales many times. They never have anything but babies that are the same kind as mom and dad. Never. You know some exceptions? Show me. Call into the show. I will take my stand on this ground. Evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the world. If somebody talked you into believing that a dog-like animal turned into a whale, first of all, you should be ashamed of yourself for being suckered into believing something so dumb. And they should be ashamed of teaching something so stupid. Don't pass that idiot idea on to other people. It's not true. Gray whales giving birth. Migration, whale watching, rare whale videos. Types of whales. Meet the largest animals in the ocean. From, didn't say where this is from. Okay. All species of whales are grouped in just 2 suborders. Baleen whales evolved from toothed whales. Again, nobody's ever seen that. That's not science. Satan, the liar and enemy of all truth, has fooled his followers, including AJ, Atheist Jr., my opponent that I debated this when I did this slide, to believe that whales came from a dot exploding and the fragments cooled to be a hot rock, which got rained on later and made pools of chemicals that came to life as a single-celled creature that evolved into all forms today. See, the hot rock got rained on, made some chemicals, and they evolved into a whale over millions of years. They use artwork and lines on paper to fool the gullible with these silly family trees, which do not exist. We started like a protista, slowly turned to a fish, slowly became an amphibian, and then branched off reptiles and mammals. There we go. Look at that. Man, you can just see, they drew lines on paper. It's got to be true. Artwork and imagination to fool the gullible. They shout loudly, "This is science." No, it is not. They proclaim the farm, F-A-R-M, fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal, evolved into amphibians, reptiles, mammals. Sorry, this is called baloney. Later, one of these wolf-like mammals on land decided to go back to the water, became a whale. So AJ, when I had the debate about a year ago with him, he said he's anti-God, written right on his shirt, okay? He calls himself my friend and humble narrator. He's a rider on my coattails. He thinks that God lied. He will use professional artwork to claim a small 3 to 5 foot wolf-like mammal evolved into the modern 100-foot, 200-ton whale. He's lying. God is right. Evolution is stupid. Let's see. How whales and pine trees are related. I know this isn't romance novel related, but if you want to see me have some fun ripping into creationist, watch me and Kent Hovind debate live August 1st. Daria, how'd you do in that debate? Not well. Do it again, Daria. Call me again, okay? Daria Bloodworth, contact her. Say, hey, ready for round 2? Bring it on. I think maybe she's still recovering from round 1.
Yes, sir.
Idea for a romance novel. The whale fell in love with the pine tree. Overcoming impossible barriers for true love by Daria Bloodworth. How the whale and the pine tree got married and had kids. Yeah. 90 species of whales. 2.2 billion nucleotide bases. That's the whale genome. All kinds of whales, a whole bunch of them, and whales and dolphins, yep. Biggest one weighed 400,000 pounds, like 33 elephants. They have a heart that weighs 400 pounds. The record-setting anatomy of the blue whale, a look inside the largest animal in the world. Dwarf whale, about 7 foot. So, I'm sorry, you atheists, you should be ashamed of yourself for being suckered into believing something so dumb, and we're here to help. I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to I make fun of it, so you stop and think, man, this really is dumb, isn't it? Okay, Joseph, got any comments here?
Yes, sir.
Opinion on Calvinism. Wrong. I'm wrong on every count. Tulip, T-U-L-I-P. I got a book on that. Let's see. Someplace. Did we put that one back? It's in our, there we go. Why I'm not a Calvinist. That's Catholic. There it is. Why I'm not a Campbellite. They believe baptism saves. Why I'm not a Mormon. Why I'm not a charismatic. Why I'm not a Muslim.
We just did a short on this the other day. We went all the way through Tulip, shows why it's not right.
Calvin, Campbellite, Mormon. Yeah. That's a book we sell. It's on our in our bookstore or on our channel, on our website, drdino.com. Okay, other questions? Hi, I need to know how I can argue with my evil friend. If cats have one ancestor from Ark, why tigers can't have kittens with home cats? Well, Great Danes and Chihuahuas can't have puppies either. I mean, theoretically they could, but a few mechanical problems. They have diversified to the lions, the tigers, the cats, probably from a common ancestor that was a cat. That's minor compared to claiming all the cats came from a rock, which got rained on, which came from a dot of nothing exploding. That's a major change. So maybe there were more than 2 pairs of cats on the ark. I don't know. Maybe lions and tigers and cougars and jaguars are, different than domesticated cats. Or maybe somebody just kept domesticating cats and kept the tame ones. Can you Google the Russian experiment with taming foxes? Somebody got a wild idea. Let's get some fox puppies and get the tamest ones and breed them and get the tamest ones again. After several generations, they had foxes that looked and acted like dogs, Okay, the Russian farm fox experiment. Initiated 1959. Let's see, what's it say?
By breeding only foxes showed the least fear and aggression toward humans. Observed the emergence of dog-like behaviors such as tail wagging and licking whisper traits within just a few generations.
Starting 1959. It didn't take millions of years, did it?
Few generations?
Yeah. They also did the opposite for aggressive behavior. And I bet they ended up with some mean foxes. Yeah. You can, 2 humans can have 10 kids, and they turn out all different. Wildly different. Okay, go ahead. Thank God for you. You were placed here to give us a better understanding. Good, thank you. Mauricio. Yeah, I just want people to say, man, the Bible is true. God said they'll bring forth after their kind. Can you show me any examples where that did not happen? Show me one. I have a friend who worked on a chicken farm, 20 years. They produce 5 million chicks yearly. He said he's never seen anything but chickens being born. Imagine that. Tell him, keep trying, keep trying. Any evidence as you could convince you of evolution? Have you figured out that dinosaurs aren't real? No, I didn't figure it out because it's not true. Dinosaur means terrible lizard. Lizards never stop growing. So before the flood came, the Bible says people lived to be 900. There's also lots of legends of what's called the Golden Age, when man used to live to be 1,000. Just Google gold. Can you do that real quick? Golden Age. How many legends are there about the gold? From hundreds of them from all over the world. They say, oh yeah, man used to live to be nearly 1,000. Well, it's true. Golden, this is perfect, Joseph. You over there doing that? Golden Age. The concept of the Golden Age, primarily defined by two major ancient literary accounts. Hesiod's 5 Ages, the Greek poet Hesiod, 8th century BC, described the Golden Age as the first of 5 successive ages. Then the Bronze Age, Silver Age, Ovid's 4 Ages, Beyond the classical sources, the Golden Age is not a single legend, but a recurring mythological trope found in diverse cultures, including Sanskrit texts, Abrahamic tradition, later applied to historical periods. Why would people have, did it say about people living to be 1,000? Instead of how many legends, just type in, how long did people live in the Golden Age? According to ancient Indian and biblical traditions, humans have significantly longer during the Golden Age. 400 years, 900 years. Wow. I wonder why there's so many legends about the Golden Age. Because it's true. You know, I bet Noah, who lived through the flood, and his son Shem, who lived through the flood, Shem lived long enough to meet Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not quite Jacob, I'm sorry. Almost. Yeah, he could meet Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I bet it was kind of a yearly tradition. Let's go visit Shem and have a, for his birthday party or something. How old are you this year, Shem? I'm going to be 555. Yeah, I bet that'd be a tradition. Everybody go visit. And he tells stories about the time. Oh yeah, man used to live to be 1,000. Because he knew him. Shem lived 100 years before the flood. He could have actually known Methuselah, who lived to be 969. It's not a Golden Age legend. It's the truth that people did live that long. Anyone who believes in a watch without a craftsman, you should disregard them completely. I would agree. Nobody made this watch. Explosion in a plastics factory. Poof, assembled it. Yeah. How the animals traveled from North Pole to Middle East before Noah's flood. Well, there's several built-in assumptions in your question. If the world before the flood was all habitable, God designed it to be inhabited. Today, the earth is tilted over 23.5 degrees. If it were not tilted, as we go around the sun, everybody would have 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. It'd be like springtime, equinox. There's a spring and fall equinox, which means equal nights. Everybody gets 12 hours. If the earth had a canopy overhead of ice to increase air pressure and be like a big greenhouse or terrarium, it'd be same temperature everywhere, North Pole, South Pole, equator. You could have plants and animals everywhere. The animals didn't have to go very far to get on Noah's Ark. They probably all lived right in that region. God called 2 of each kind to go into the ark. Noah didn't go get them. Read the story carefully. So I think before the flood, the world was mostly land. Today, it's mostly water. It was mostly land, all habitable, probably 75 degrees everywhere all the time. And everything grew like crazy. The soil was perfect. Today, that good soil's all mixed in with all the rocks and everything's tangled up from the flood. So I think we're living in a junkyard compared to what Adam and Eve saw. Interpretation of data varies depending on bias. Evolution demonstrates this time and time again. They have a bias. They don't want there to be a God. If there's a God, that might mean, there's rules. They don't like his rules, so deny he exists. Tell you what, get out on the highway, go 140 miles an hour, just deny police exist. Deny it. Just try it.
Thank God, man, for his gifts.
Good, thank you. Ukraine, USA. Best place to live in the United States. Lenox, Alabama. Duh. Huh?
Amen.
How you like your place up there, Joseph?
I like it.
Yeah. You had a car go by last week, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I'll stay.
Okay. Thumbs up the video you are watching. How do I do that? You got to do it. Where do dragons fit in? Well, the word dragon was used in the Bible many times. I covered that on video number 3. I think the same animals are today called dinosaurs. If you look at the pictures of dragons on different ancient artwork and stuff, it sure looks like a dinosaur. If you're watching my video 3, I talk about even Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon, in Job chapter 41. You have green dinosaur statue to take pictures with in Dinosaur Adventureland.
One front. They take pictures of that one with the saddle.
We've got quite a few dinosaurs to take pictures with. I don't remember which one you're talking about in Pensacola. That's been 20 years ago, so I forgot more things than I can remember.
Earlier, when you were talking about tulips, somebody was asking you about your interpretations of Romans. And election is completely real. How do you understand Romans?
Well, God has already decided He wants everybody to come to heaven. He knows who's coming. See, God knowing what's going to happen is not the same as God controlling it. I use the illustration. If I watch a football game, which I never do, okay, I'll watch the Super Bowl, and I videotape it, I record it. And the last 2 seconds, it throws the Hail Mary pass. If he catches it, they're going to win. If he misses it, they're going to lose. You come over to my house and say, Brother Hovind, who won the Super Bowl? I say, sit down, I'll show it to you. So hit play. We're watching the game. We get to the last 2 seconds. He throws the ball, flying through the air. All the guys running down the field with their tongue hanging out, and I hit pause. At that moment, you have 3 different positions. I know what's going to happen. I don't control it, but I know. I've already seen it. I have no control, but I know. The guys on the field, they have control, but they don't know yet. Is he going to catch it or not? You're sitting there, you don't have either knowledge or control. So God can know what's going to happen and still choose not to be in control of it. So you're in control of your life. You can do what you want. If you want to go to hell, you can go. If you want to go to heaven, just ask Him. But that doesn't mean God's controlling that. He could, but then we'd be robots. He wants us to want to serve Him and love Him.
This guy he says, so you're saying God can't control the universe, but
God could control, but then we'd be robots. Yeah. He gave you freedom of choice. Do what you want. If you don't want to accept Him, okay. He told you what's going to happen if you don't, but it's like if you're out there drowning in the ocean and the guy on the deck says, hey, hold still, I'll throw you a life jacket. I'll throw you a life preserver. Nah. Okay.
And would you say that that's the only thing that is predetermined or elect is what happens to those who believe and those who don't believe, not the individual that will believe?
Once you do choose to believe and accept Christ, he's also determined He's going to make you like Christ. And probably not going to get us to heaven to finish that job.
This question says, can you give me a short example of carbon dating dinosaur bones and why it's incorrect? And another question was saying, can you say something about the element argon?
Okay. On my video, let's see, number 7. My computer is causing trouble here. Look at that. Carbon dating. All of the radiometric dating methods. I think how many did they say there were? 8 or 9? How many radiometric dating methods are there? Carbon decays to nitrogen, carbon 14 to carbon 12 and turns to nitrogen gas. Potassium to argon, argon to argon, uranium to lead. What'd you get there? How many different dating? They're all based on the same assumptions.
There are over 40 different dating methods.
Over 40, okay. Some elements are radioactive. You can get a Geiger counter and you can go and walk in the cave or wherever you are and click, 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 you found some uranium or some radioactive. Carbon, here's how it works, okay? Carbon and nitrogen are next to each other on the periodic table, right there. The sunlight strikes the atmosphere and produces carbon-14. Radiation hits the atmosphere. Now that did not happen before the flood came because the earth had a crystal canopy overhead. So there was probably no carbon-14 being formed. So if we dig up an animal that lived before the flood and carbon date it with today's standard in the atmosphere, we're going to get a wild number. They don't get it, Joseph. I don't know how to help them. Cosmic rays from the sun hit our atmosphere and change some nitrogen atoms to radioactive carbon-14. Most of them latch onto oxygen and become carbon dioxide, CO2. Plants absorb CO2 and make it part of their tissue, either the leaf or the stem or the root or the fruit. Animals eat the plants and get it into their tissue. I'd be willing to bet $5, everyone listening to me, you've either eaten plants or you've eaten some animals that have eaten plants during your lifetime. How many have done that? Like for every single meal, right? So you got carbon-14 in you. And the theory would be carbon-14 is unstable. It does not like being carbon-14, and it breaks down, begins to break down to nitrogen, a gas, and escapes. Okay. Based on many tests, they say it takes 5,730 years for half of the carbon-14 to decay. I have no argument with that, okay? They get numbers, varies around there. I've seen 5690, and who cares? Call it 5,700 years. So half of it's going to go back down to decay in 5,700 years. So if you compare how much is in the air compared to how much is in what you're dating, if this has half as much as the air, you say it's been dead 5,700 years. Well, that's compared to today's air. If the world before the flood didn't have that, now you're going to get a wild number. Carbon dating, is it reliable? Debate number 224. Carbon dating. Here's a piece of coal talking to a diamond. You look older than your profile. Said, I've been under a lot of pressure. I love that one. Fossils are really dated by the geologic column, which does not exist anywhere in the world. They made it up. I say if the top layer is younger, where did it come from? Outer space? Here's an illustration to try to understand how carbon dating works. If you walked into a room and you found a candle burning on the table and I asked you the question, when was it lit? I don't know, it was burning when I got here. Okay, let's do some what's called empirical science, things we can test, study, demonstrate. Let's measure the candle. So we measure it and find out it's 7 inches tall. Nobody argues, we all agree, 7 inches. Let's measure how fast it burns. So we all get our stopwatch out, click, click, and we watch it burn and time it. We all agree it's burning 1 inch an hour. Here are two facts we all agree on. It's 7 inches tall, it's burning 1 inch an hour. You probably can tell me when it's going to burn out, right? 7 hours from now. But when was it lit? There's no way to know unless you make some assumptions. How tall was it? I don't know. Has it always burned at the same rate? Don't know. Yeah. Radiometric dating would not have been feasible if the geologic column had not been erected first. Ever since William Smith, fossils have been and still are the best and most accurate method of dating and correlating the rocks in which they occur. Apart from very modern examples, I can think of no cases of radioactive decay being used to date fossils. Well, why is that? Earth's atmosphere is about 300 miles thick. You get all kinds of numbers when you Google that. Some say 50 miles, but okay. Most of it's within 10 miles. You climb Mount Everest, 5 miles, you can't hardly breathe up there. Most of Earth's atmosphere is within 10 miles. Earth's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.06% carbon dioxide, and 0.000000765% radioactive carbon-14. It's very rare. That mixes with normal oxygen and mixes with normal CO2, so some of the CO2 is radioactive, most of it is not. Radiation from the sun strikes the atmosphere and produces this radioactive carbon-14. It combines with oxygen, makes radioactive carbon CO2. No question, I agree that happens. Carbon dating was invented in 1955. Willard Libby, Nobel Prize for it. Time magazine ran an article. Cosmic radiation converts 21 pounds of nitrogen into carbon-14 every year. This is 21 pounds scattered over the whole world. Over the whole world, 21 pounds would be really hard to find. Carbon, nitrogen right there, carbon, nitrogen. Carbon-14 is nitrogen that's been slapped around by cosmic rays. Okay. The Geiger counter can pick up the clicks when it breaks down. No question. It's being produced in the atmosphere by the sun. It breaks down to nitrogen, half of it every 5,700 years. During the photosynthesis process, plants breathe in CO2 and make it part of their tissue. Some of it, a very tiny amount, is radioactive carbon-14. Most of it's regular carbon-12. Animals eat the plants, make it part of their body. So it gets into the plants. That's how it gets into the living organisms. It's assumed the ratio of radioactive C14 in the atmosphere would be the same found in living plants and animals. A reasonable assumption. I won't argue that. If the atmosphere is 0.0000765, we assume the animals and plants have the same. I'll give them that. When the plant or animal dies, it stops taking in any more. That's normal. So they're comparing the amount of C14 in the object being dated with the amount currently in the atmosphere, and there's where the problem is. Has the atmosphere always had this amount? Can you prove that? If it has half as much, it's been dead 5,700 years. Okay. So half of it decays every 5,700 years. It can't get any more because it's dead. It'll go out of balance. So if it's got 0.0000765%, it's 0 years old. It's still just recently dead, because that's how much is in the atmosphere. If it's got half that much, it's been dead 1 half-life, 2 half-lives, 3 half-lives. So to measure 17,000 years, they're trying to measure 0.0000956%. I find that to be a stretch of how to measure that accurately, but I'll give it that. So it goes from a half to a fourth to an eighth to a 16th. No measurable C14 should be around after 40 to 50,000 years. None. So it goes from, we'll call it clicks per minute on your Geiger counter. If you're getting 16 clicks every minute, it's still alive. If you're getting half of that, 8 clicks per minute, it's been through 1 half-life. Then 4 clicks per minute, 2 clicks per minute. It gets to the point where you simply can't measure it. With a short half-life, no carbon-14 atom should exist in any carbon older than 250,000 years. It is proven impossible to find any natural source of carbon that does not contain carbon-14. What does that mean? It means nothing is more than 250,000 years old. They're unable to account for it. Let's see. The world's best laboratory, 2 decades of low C14 measurements, how to not contaminate it. They confirm such observations for coal samples and for even a dozen diamonds, which cannot be contaminated. These constitute very strong evidence the Earth is thousands, not billions of years old. Sounds good. Here's some assumptions that are made. If I told you to fill a barrel with water, but I've drilled holes on the other side, while you're putting water in, it starts leaking out. This is like your checkbook. I mean, know what I'm talking about. You keep putting it in, it keeps leaking out someplace, right? Okay. At some point, you reach a stage called equilibrium. You can't fill the barrel past that point unless you increase the input or decrease the outgo. My daddy said, son, if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep will be your downfall. So watch out for that. He was right, too. What assumptions does it rely on? Assumption that the global levels of carbon-14 in the atmosphere has not changed. Well, we know that's not true. Other assumption, the biosphere has the same overall concentration of carbon. Okay? Inaccuracies in radiocarbon dating. It's a key tool archaeologists use to determine the age of plants and objects made of organic material, things that were once alive, coal, trees, stuff like that. New research shows commonly accepted radiocarbon dating standards can miss the mark. Freshwater reservoir effect in radiocarbon dating. I got a ton of stuff on video 7 rather than take the whole show just for that. Bottom line is, it doesn't work. There's too many assumptions. In any honest court of law, it would never be admitted. Any freshman law student could say, sir, Your Honor, he does not know how much was in it when it started. He don't know it's never been contaminated. And you don't know it's always decayed at the same rate. What happened, they started, when they first invented this, 1950s, they said, well, let's take that barrel example. How long would it take to reach equilibrium? And they said, well, it'll take about 30,000 years. I think I got that right here. Equilibrium. Then they said, well, we know the Earth is millions of years old. Mistake number 1. We can ignore the equilibrium problem. Mistake number 2. The Earth has not yet reached equilibrium. Radiocarbon is still forming faster than it's decaying. Well, stop and think about it. The barrel hasn't reached equilibrium, then you can't carbon date anything, can you? Prove me wrong. Okay, any more questions there, Joseph? Bless your ministry, thank you. Appreciate that. That's what I want God to do. Second question related to evolution. Have you seen any of the interviews by Dr. Stephen Meyer? Quite a few. I love him. Okay. What are your thoughts on his views on intelligent design? Yeah, I go a step further. I know who the designer is.
You got this question last night too. They were asking about it because they're typically older guys. Is that worth fighting about?
To me, it's worth fighting about because Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. Was he lying? The Ten Commandments says God made everything in 6 days. Well, did he or didn't he? To me, the Bible's clear. 6-day creation about 6,000 years ago. So if Stephen Myers says, hey, there must have been a creator, I would agree. Keep going, Stephen. Why? That creator, it's common sense. If the creator made this world, he ought to tell us, what does he want? What's the rules? I think he wrote a book. Preserved, he wrote it through different men. But God wrote this book. This is God inspired different people what to write. I believe that. Someone made the following argument for the existence of God. If God doesn't exist, then why are ears placed exactly where you can hang your glasses? Can't argue with that. You see. Wow. That works perfect.
It's like that meteor that landed
Right beside the... And Niagara Falls went right past where the visitor center is. I mean, just missed it. That was perfect. Ice course, okay. Musai. On my video number 1, if you want to know about that, let's see. Seminar part 1 of my series, get the whole thing for $50, 18 hours. I talk about many topics, ways to prove the Earth cannot be billions of years old, one of which is right here, ice cores. In Denver, Colorado, they have the freezer, the U.S. National Geographic something or other, where they store these ice cores. I went in there, talked to the people there. They drill holes in Greenland and the South Pole, and they drill a pipe down in called a coring machine, like you get apple core, get the apple core out. Only this is a lot longer. They drill down with this pipe, pull up the center part. It's a ring, a core of ice. And they notice they're going through layers, dark light, dark light. The assumption is when it snows up there, it packs, if the snow packs in the wintertime, it makes a white milky layer of ice. If it melts and refreezes, it's going to be clear ice because the bubbles can come out when it melts for a few minutes or a few hours. There's the coring machine. They drill down. No question. Record-shattering 2.7 million year old ice core. Really. Ancient Antarctic ice in the Denver laboratory. There's the ice core stored in there. They got that freezer like really, really cold. I forget, it's like 100 below zero. Okay? Layers of snowpack. National Avalanche Center. Had an avalanche, snow sliding down the hill, and it formed into layers. Interesting. Snowpack is stratified, made up of layers, similar to the geologic layers of the Grand Canyon. Snowpack stratigraphy tells the history of the season snowpack. Well, let me get up to her. Eskimos have 50 different words for snow. What else is there to talk about? Okay. Powder snow, crud snow, pack snow, granular snow. Okay. There's ice rings that they're finding. You can see them right there on a glacier, on an iceberg, I mean. They call them annual layers. There's the mistake right there. The deepest core can measure 10,000 feet. Cores from Greenland, drilled since 1990, showed that northern climate was erratic 135,000 years ago. Tell them I said that's crazy. I'll debate them on that. That's called baloney. They're not annual layers. I can show you here. Let's see, right? 1942, during World War II, some airplanes ran into a storm, had to land in Greenland. They crash landed in Greenland. They rescued the pilots, went back and fight the war. Finally, somebody in Kentucky had money to spare. He said, I'm going to go get one of them planes off the ice. When they found called the Lost Squadron. The Lost Squadron, a fleet of airplanes locked in ice for 50 years. There it is right there. Lost Squadron. So they trying to get to England for the war. They hit a storm, had to turn around, came back, ran out of gas over Greenland. They used ground-penetrating radar to find them. The whole ice pack they were in had moved, I forget, several miles. So where they landed is not where they were now. They're under the ice, and they're sliding with the whole glacier. 263 feet of ice on top of them. in 48 years. They melted a hole down to get to it. For the big one, they melted 2 holes and cut out the middle part so they can get the pieces up. Brought the pieces up, took it apart, brought them up, put it together in Middleborough, Kentucky. It flies in air shows. If you go through Middleborough, stop and see it. Let's see. They were in the ice for 48 years, 63 feet down. That's 5.5 feet a year. 10,000 feet is the deepest they've ever drilled. Divide that by 5.5, you get 1,800 years. What happened to the big number? Anyway, deeper ice is pressed into finer layers, so 4,400 is plenty of time to put all the ice at the North and South Pole. By the way, the planes do not sink in the ice. Airplanes are always built slightly nose heavy. If they run out of gas, they want to come in nose first and glide in. They don't want to come in tail first. You can't control it. I visited Bob Cardin at the museum. He's the one who helped dig out the plane and restore it. He said at 62 feet down, they had a plywood cover left by somebody in 1983. They tried to melt down to get to the plane, but they covered the hole so somebody else could take over, okay? 8 years earlier. So 8 feet of ice a year accumulated over the top of that plywood. I said, Bob, when you went down, did you go through different layers? White, clear, white, clear, white. He said, man, many hundreds of layers. I said, hold it. They're telling the kids in school these are annual layers. How do you get hundreds of layers, annual layers in 48 years? How does that work? He said, who told you those are annual layers? They're not annual layers. They're not summer, winter, summer, winter. They're warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold. You get 3 of those in 1 week. They're calling them annual layers. 800,000 years, annual layers, annual layers. So I covered this on video number 1. I guess you get all my slides. Dating a core. Annual layers. This is the whole problem. Dating by annual layer counting. Same thing with tree ring dating. They're not annual layers on a tree. Sometimes they do 2 or 3 rings in 1 year. Annual, ice core basics, annual layers. This is simply not true. See, ignorance can be fixed. Stupid, I think, is forever. This guy, Dr. Oven, I got 15 layers of snow on my car in 8 hours. Not 15 inches, 15 different layers. Ah, interesting. Anyway, so yes, there's my Hoven theory on that. I got to fix this one slide here. Okay. Anyway, next question, Joseph. Let's see.
Why did you move to Alabama from Florida?
Well, long, interesting story. They took me to prison, as you know. And when I got out of prison, I discovered that all my property in Pensacola had been taken. And my son started a new ministry. That's a long, sad story. My wife divorced me, and I said, Lord, what do I do? And a guy called me and said, I want to help your ministry. A guy around the corner called me and said, hey, we're selling the old gravel pit in Lenox, 140 acres. Would you like it? I came up, looked at it, and said, it's perfect. How much do they want? He said, $250,000. So a guy called me, that was the same day or next day, from Missouri. He said, Brother Hoven, I want to help your ministry. What are you doing? I said, well, I'm trying to get property to build a Christian camp, start over. He said, have you found something? I said, yeah, there's an old gravel pit in Lenox, but it wants $250,000, 140 acres. The guy said, all right, I'll buy it for you. Never met him. I need to meet some more people that got $250,000 laying around. I have a hard time rubbing 2 nickels together, you know. God's good. Okay, other questions?
No, that's about it.
Okay, got to go. Let's see. All right, sounds good. Tonight, 7 o'clock, you atheist skeptics, call in. Save your questions. Whack an atheist tonight. Open mic, call in. Give me your best evidence for evolution. I'll tell you, my stand is there is none. It's the dumbest religion in the world.